This is a rod. It is made up of bone. It is divided into 10 divisions starting from 0 to 9. Gottfried Leibniz is a mathematician. He built a calculator and that is named as Leibniz calculator. Lady Ada Lovelace, as she was working with Charles Babbage for many years, and during those days she started writing the first computer algorithm. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Students, let us start our discussion of the chapter 1 in session 2. And in this session, we are going to discuss about the evolution of computers. Now, you might have heard the word evolution, or in your junior classes, in the history, you might have studied evolution of man. So, what we are going to study under evolution of man is, now we are human beings, the present day human beings, and we know the human beings were not in this shape if we talk about many centuries back. Now, if we talk about evolution of computers, now in this concept, we are going to study how the computer has evolved to this shape, present day computer. Now we know what is the shape of present day computer and what was the shape of a computer maybe around centuries back. Maybe you take example like 10 years back, 20 years back, 30 years back. All these we are going to study under the heading evolution of computer. Evolution of computers. In other words, we can say history of computers. Now here, this is the first divide is Abacus. Abacus is the first counting device. It was developed by a Babylonians. So this is the first counting device. Now what made them to count like this? In the history, we have studied that the nomadic people, means the people, those who are living many centuries back, we say the nomadic people, and they don't have a proper shelter, and they used to move from one place to another place, and they were not in a one place permanently. So during those days, those nomadic people, and they used to mark something on the trees, or maybe tree's trunk, and on the wall, or on the rock, wherever it is, they used to mark with some symbols. See, that is the one that leads to a concept of counting. That made them to develop a system or a mechanism for counting numbers. So, in that way, the first counting device is the abacus. See, it was developed by Babylonians. Now, if you look at the picture, now you know what is abacus is. This is an abacus, and you know what is the shape of this, and all this it has a wooden frame, and it would have a string inside, and again these are wooden beads. This is an abacus. This is nowadays we are familiar with the abacus. In most of the cases, many students have taken or have joined this abacus courses. So what you are going to do with the abacus, you are using it for calculation. So this is abacus is the first counting device developed by Babylonians for the purpose of counting. So this abacus, the first calculating machine and used for counting. And it is made up of beads strung on the cords and is used for simple arithmetic calculation. And the cord corresponds to the position of the decimal digits. The beads represents digits. Abacus was mainly used for addition, subtraction, And nowadays we are using Abacus for division and multiplication. So Abacus is the first counting device developed by Babylonians for the purpose of counting. With the help of this, during those days, they were using this device for addition and subtraction. And nowadays, we are using this device for even for division as well as for multiplication. This is Abacus. Now we move on to next slide. Now, next device in the history of computer is Napier's Bones. Now you can see the pictures. This is a part of Napier Bones. And what is a Napier bone? The Napier bones was invented by John Napier, a Scottish mathematician. He invented a device called Napier's bones. That is John Napier. That is why it is named as Napier's bones. And why it is bones? And is an aid for multiplication. And he developed this device for multiplication of numbers. And what it consists of? A set of bones. And these consist of 9 rods. Here, you can imagine, you can see the picture here. These are all number of different rods, and these rods were made up of bones, and one of each digit 1 through 9, and a constant rod for the digit 0. And here this individual rod, this is a rod, it is made up of bone, is divided into 10 division from starting from 0 to 9. So there were 10 divisions, and you can see the picture. They were divided into number of sections, and again they were into each box or each digit divided into 2 more subdivisions. So this is the setup of Napier's bones. And by arranging these rods with a definite order, the people they used to start multiplication or multiply 2 numbers. So this is one of the device under history of computers. Now let us see the next one, that is the slide rule. Next invention is the slide rule. It was invented by William Orchard, and it is based on the principle that actual distance from the starting point of the rule is directly proportional to the logarithms of the numbers printed on the rule. So now we can see the image or picture of the slide rule. Actually, this slide rule is made up of, there are, you can look at, there are 2 scales, or we can say there are 2 scales, one the fixed one over the another, and here you can find a small window, a small gap, that is to read the result of any calculation. So here, why we say is a slide rule? Here these slides are movable. So by moving these slides from left to right, and the pupil during those days, they could able to multiply 2 numbers, and they could divide 2 numbers, and result will be displayed within a small window or a small opening. So this is a slide rule. Now here, this slide rule is embodied by 2 sets of scales. There are 2 scales that are joined together within a marginal space between them. So this is the space between the marginal space. Here's a one rule, another scale or a rule, and there is a marginal space between them. And the suitable arrangement of 2 scales enable the slide rule to perform multiplication and division by method of addition and subtraction. So this is slide rule, and it was invented by Williams Orchard, and the device is slide rule. And with the help of this, the people they used to multiply and divide the numbers. So this is one of the invention in history of computers. Now let us move on to next device. This is adding machine called Pascal. Next device is Pascalin. So this Blaise Pascal, you might be familiar with the word. Blaise Pascal is a scientist and he invented the first mechanical calculator. So this is the first mechanical device. So Blaise Pascal invented a device that is called Pascalin, and this is the first mechanical device. So here it was named Pascalin. It had a box with 8 movable wheels, so called dials. If you look at the picture here, this is a box. Inside the box, they used to fix dials. These are the dials, and there were 8 movable wheels. There are around 8 wheels were there, and the numbers for calculations were entered with the dial. By turning these dials with the handle, they used to fix the number to be multiplied. With the help of this, it could add, subtract, divide, and multiply numbers. So they were using this device for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of numbers. And it used to add very big numbers in thousands. See, this is the first mechanical device. And why we say it's a mechanical device? This is the box. Inside this box, we find so many mechanical devices like handles, wheels, and dials, springs, rods, so many things. So that is why it is called as first mechanical device, that is Pascalin. And they were using it for addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication of numbers. Now let us see the next slide. This is Leibniz calculator. Gottfried Leibniz is a mathematician. He built a calculator, and that is named as Leibniz calculator. And with the help of this, they could able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide the numbers. You can see the picture of this. See, this is the Leibniz calculator using for calculation. Next device under history of computer is Jackw Loom. Students, you might have heard the word loom, or generally we are familiar with hand loom. What is hand loom? Hand loom is a setup where the peoples are using it for weaving cloths or weaving saris. So that is the hand loom. So similar setup, similarly, this is nothing but Jackw Loom. So here the Joseph Mary Jackw, he developed a device called Jackw Loom. It is a loom and he named it as Jackw Loom. It is almost similar to setup what we can see even today also, just like hand loom device. So how we are using hand loom nowadays, it was similar setup was there for this. This is Jackw Looms, and Joseph Mary Jackw invented a loom named as Jackw Loom. And this Jackw Loom, it used punched wooden cords for automatically to weave incredible detailed patterns. And as you know, these looms are used for designing different patterns. Similarly, the Jackw Loom, they were using punched wooden cords and for automatically weave it design. This is how they used to work with the Jackw Loom. It including pictures and text. And this can be taken as the first read-only memory. In the history of computers, we have heard the word punched cord. A punched cord is a device they were using it to store the values or information in the form of holes or in the absence of holes. So same this punched wooden cords they were using in this Jackw Loom as a to write or to store different pictures or text or different designs. So this is Jackw Loom. Next one, we move on to next slide. This is the difference engine by Charles Babbage. Charles Babbage, a British mathematician and engineer. He designed an automatic calculating machine and he called it as difference engine. Now you can see the picture, students. This is the picture of difference engine, and it was developed by Charles Babbage, and it was an automatic calculating machine. Look at the next invention. Again, the same person, Charles Babbage, he thought of a mechanical construction which known as mechanical digital computer. So the Charles Babbage, one who developed this another difference engine, after later he developed a device called analytical engine. Actually, this device, he wanted to have a device or an automatic calculation machine where it should be having different parts for different operation. For example, this analytical engine consists of 5 units, and which become the basic principle for development of modern computers. Hence, Charles Babbage is rightly called as father of computers. Now, we call him as a father of modern computer because he wanted to develop a device or a system for calculation. So, he thought of having a 5 units in the system in this analytical engine, and 5 units for 5 different operations. Now, the present day computer, what we are using today, is built on the principle of this Charles Babbage. That is the reason we call him as the father of modern computer. So, this is another invention, the major invention in the field of computers. Now, let us move on to next slide. Next one is the first programmer. Here, Lady Ada Lovelace. She is the person, she has started writing the first computer algorithm for the device. Actually, she was working with Charles Babbage, and she used to write some coding, or we say algorithm, for particular application. So, what is algorithm? Algorithm is nothing but it is a set of instructions, a step-by-step procedure to solve a problem. So, Lady Ada Lovelace, as she was working with Charles Babbage for many years, and during those days, she started writing the first computer algorithm for a particular application or for any calculation. So, she predicted that the later computers will have the abilities to do more than mathematical calculation. Next device and the history of computers, that is Hollerith tabulating machine. So, in 1889, an American named Herman Hollerith, he invented a counting machine for counting the population of USA. Actually, his father, he was working for a government agency in USA. To assist his father, he developed a system, a device called tabulating machine, and named as Herman Hollerith tabulating machine. So you can see the diagram here. This is tabulating machine, and this electronic machine is able to read the information on the punched card and process it electronically. Now we have seen the punched card they were using in Jackw Loom. Same punched card they were using here in other tabulating machine for reading the information and process it electronically. So this is Hollerith tabulating machine. Students, in this session, we have discussed about the evolution of computer system. Now let us meet in our next session. Thank you very much.